I am so happy you're here. It is about 5 o'clock on a Saturday, and I'm literally making Rich and I dinner. And what I'm making today is savory sweet chicken with bok choy and jasmine rice. It's going to be amazing. I've made this 2 or 3 times before. It is so delicious. So I want to jump in and I want to talk about process when you're making 3 different dishes for a dinner that you need all 3 of those dishes to finish at the same time. If that's the case, you need to do some planning, and I'm going to talk about mise en place. So mise en place is a French term for everything in its place, basically translated to get all your stuff ready before you start cooking. So I'm going to go through what my mise en place here is, and so hopefully that will help you. Now, you can kind of get things going as you go along. I don't recommend it. I'm much happier having a more relaxed cooking experience rather than, okay, this is on the pan, now I got to cut this, and now I got to measure that. I don't want that. I get it all done ahead of time, so I have a relaxed experience. I get to sip my wine and basically just execute and not worry about anything. Okay, so the chicken component, we have bone-in, skin-on chicken that I have already added kosher salt and pepper to both sides. They're sitting here ready to go. Now, I prefer to use a more free-range chicken than just your basic, commodity chicken. I don't think the meat tastes as good. I don't think the texture is there, so I spend a little more money and get a better chicken. And there's quite a few ingredients in this recipe. And so we have garlic, ginger, water, tamari sauce, chicken stock, rice wine vinegar, sugar, and then we're going to have some sliced green onions for garnish. The second part of our dish is some jasmine rice, which I obviously have the rice measured out here. And in this measuring cup, I have 1/2 and 1/2 of water and chicken stock. I love to add chicken stock to my rice instead of just 100% water. It gives it so much more flavor. And then our last component is bok choy. If you haven't cooked with bok choy, I urge you to. It's really delicious. It's not quite as bitter as other greens. And so we're going to saute some bok choy with some tamari and some Earth Balance buttery spread. Okay, I'm about to get started, but I wanted to make this one point to you that I don't do this during the week. This is an involved recipe. This is a weekend recipe. So if you've got some recipes that have 3 versions that you have to cook. I mean, rice isn't any big deal, but you're sauteing some bok choy and you're making the chicken. Reserve it for the weekend. Make that big special meal on Saturday or Sunday or even Friday. But if you've worked all day Friday, you might not want to do it then. So these bigger recipes I reserve for the weekend, a bit quicker things during the week. So the first thing we're going to do is brown the chicken. And so I'm going to get this on a medium high. And I'm going to add my oil, which is a considerable amount of oil, about 2 tablespoons or so. Okay, so while this is heating up, we're going to get our rice going. And I've heated up to high. I'm going to add my 1/2 and 1/2 chicken broth and water to my saucepan. I'm going to throw in a little bit of salt. And then when this boils, I'm going to add my rice. And then I'm going to cover it and cook it for 20 minutes. So the rice is going to be cooking while we're browning the chicken. Now it will be done before the rest of the dish, so then we're going to push it to the back burner, put it on low, and just let it sit there and warm until we're ready to serve. So I'm looking for a pretty smoking hot pan here. I'm going to give it a few more minutes because I don't think it's there yet. Okay, we're about ready to start. I can hear some of the oil sizzling, so I'm going to start adding the chicken to the pan. Now, if you use bigger chickens, you may have to do 2 rounds of this, but I'm pretty confident that all 6 of these thighs are going to fit into this pan. Oh, hear that? That's exactly what you want to hear, that sizzling. Because you want to really brown these. It's very important that you give them a good brown on both sides. Okay, so I'm going to cook these in the pan. I'm going to turn them down just. I am going to resist every urge I can to move them until I check them in about 3 to 4 minutes to see how brown they are on the other side. So while these are cooking, I've got my what I know is coming next. So at some point when these are brown, I got to remove them to a plate. So I have a plate. And then I have to start the sauce making process. And so I have all of my ingredients in a semicircle in order of appearances. Okay, so the rice stock slash water is boiling, so I'm going to add the rice now. Cover it, put it on low, and set my timer for 20 minutes. Chicken's been cooking for about 5 minutes. I just want to state that you're going to be a little closer to high than you are medium, not quite in the middle because you want this to cook faster. So we have a nice golden brown on areas, so I'm going to flip it. And you're going to get some splatter here because it's going to be cooking that skin, but you want this. You want this splatter because that's how you know you are going to get a really good sear on this chicken. And the key to this recipe is getting this sear on this chicken because it's going to be swimming in some sauce for about 20 minutes, and it needs a nice hard outside to stand up to all that sauce. So I'm going to cook this. It's probably going to take 3 to 5 minutes to sear this second side. We'll come back, we'll take a look, and then we'll get it out of the pan and keep going. So we've been cooking about 4 minutes or so. As you can see, this guy's good. That is the color you are looking for. So I'm going to remove these to the pan. I have reduced my heat to medium because I no longer need that high heat. This guy, I'm going to leave him in, take him out last. I think that guy's okay. This guy's okay. It's going to splatter, just so you know. Okay, we're taking them all out. We're going to put them aside. Okay, so what you want to do now is you need to get this oil out of the pan. And so be very, very careful. I'm going to pour it into a measuring cup I have in the sink here. You can hear that. Okay, so now we're going to add a little bit of water to deglaze, which I'm using a non-stick pan, so we're not deglazing too much, but it's going to get up all that fond that's in there. The fond is all the chicken bits that stick to the bottom. Okay. And so now, after we've done this, we're going to go ahead and add the sugar, the brown sugar. Come on, get out of there. There we go. And the goal here is to dissolve the sugar and cook it down to a nice amber looking color. It's going to take, 2 to 3 or 4 minutes to do this, so I'm going to constantly stir. Okay, I have now switched to a wooden spoonish type thing instead of my tong. We're getting close to this amber color I'm looking for. I'm going to say maybe a minute or so more. It's starting to thicken, which is what you want. The sugar is going to thicken. That is the goal. And become an amber color. Very dark amber, which this is becoming that. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this. I like the way it thickens. So now we're going to add the rice wine vinegar. Add it very, very slowly and very, very carefully. This is extremely hot. You don't want to pour it all in. We're going to mix it through very slowly. Okay, let it cook a little bit more there. Okay, I'm going to continue stirring, and I'm going to start adding the other ingredients. I'm going to add the ginger in, mix it around. Chicken stock. Oh, this smells so good. As soon as the ginger hit the pan, oh my goodness. Now I'm adding the tamari sauce. And I'm just going to let this cook for about a minute or so, get all these flavors together. So I think that we are in a good place. I'm up on medium. So now it's time to put the chicken skin side up back into the pan. And so that, like I said earlier, this chicken is going to swim and cook in this sauce for about 20-25 minutes. So that's why we needed a really good sear on it. Okay, chicken back in the pan. Okay, and that's going to cook the chicken through. Now I'm going to add the whole cloves of garlic. And we're going to have to remember to pull this garlic out later because nobody wants to eat a whole clove of garlic with their meal. But this is what this is going to do, is going to add that garlic flavor to the sauce without being too overpowering by actually having minced garlic in there. It's kind of going to steep in the sauce. So we're going to put this on for about 20 to 25 minutes, let the chicken cook uncovered. And then we're going to continue making the sauce, and we're gonna get the bok choy going. This is gonna go for about 20, 25 minutes, like I said. At about 10 minutes out, we're gonna start the bok choy. It's been 20 minutes, let's check our rice. Ooh, that rice is looking great. I'm gonna fluff it a little bit with a fork. Looking perfect. Okay, so we've got some time before we need this rice. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move it to the back burner here, leave the lid on, and just let it simmer and keep warm until we're ready to serve. So we have about 10 or a little less than 10 minutes left on the chicken simmering and cooking. So I'm gonna get the bok choy started. I'm gonna set my, my burner on about medium high. I'm gonna add some sunflower oil, let that heat up. So the pan's heated well enough, so I'm gonna get the bok choy in here. It is gonna cook down pretty well, kind of like just about any green you cook, like a spinach or a collard or a dandelion or a Swiss chard, anything like that. Okay, at this point I'm gonna add a little salt and pepper. Okay, I'm gonna let this be, let it cook down till it starts to get tender and start reducing in size. Okay, so the bok choy has been cooking for a little bit here. You can see how it's cooked down. It's starting to get a little tender. So I am going to add the earth balance. Get all that in there. And now the tamari sauce as well. Oh, get all in there. Mix it up. And I'm going to turn it down to medium-low and let it cook down a little bit more. And then we're going to hop over here and get this chicken out of the pan, which has been cooking for about 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, so I am going to pull the chicken out of the pan once again, because we don't want the chicken in the pan when we thicken the sauce. It'll be very difficult to thicken the sauce with the chicken in the pan. I'm going to turn it up to high to get a boil as I stir. What we're looking for is to thicken this sauce to where it coats the back of the spoon, which I will show you when we get to that point what that looks like. I'm sure you've probably seen that or heard that in some recipes. The sauce needs to be thick enough to coat the back of the spoon, but what does that look like? So hopefully I'm going to be able to show you what that looks like. So it's come to a nice roaring boil, so I'm going to start to stir it to get it to thicken. It's going to take about 10 minutes like this to get a good thickness that we're looking for, because we want it to be thick enough it's going to coat the chicken. And so when we say coat the back of a spoon, that is, if it's going to coat the back of the spoon, it's going to coat the chicken really well. So I'm going to stir it occasionally while it's at this high boil. The high boil is going to help reduce it, and reducing it is going to thicken it. I'm going to come over here and mix up the bok choy a little bit. It's looking really good. It looks nice and tender. It's reduced down. It smells, oh, it smells so good. There's a sweetness to bok choy. If you haven't had it, it's interesting. It's a very good depth of flavor, but there's this hint of sweetness to it that I absolutely love. Now we're coming over here. I can see it starting to thicken already. In cooking, patience is rewarded. 10 minutes, look at this beautiful thickened sauce. Oh my God. Okay, so coat the back of a spoon. You see how it coats the back of a spoon? It's not going anywhere. There's a little bit dripping off, but it's coated the back of the spoon. That's what you're looking for. Okay, so at this point, I am going to pull out into the sink all of my garlic cloves. Now I'm going to put the chicken back in the pan. I know this chicken has been in and out of the pan like what, 17 times or something, but it's worth it. Totally worth it. And now we are going to coat this chicken with the sauce. I'm just going to turn it upside down and back over to coat the chicken with the sauce, which I think actually my tongs is going to work better with this. This is why we had to get that really good sear on there. One, because it sat in the chicken, and two, we want to be able to coat it in the sauce and still have a crispy skin on it and have all that flavor. Okay, I'm turning the heat off right now because we are just about done. Oh, this is going to be so delicious. Oh my goodness. Oh. we are good. It is time. I'm going to turn the bok choy off. The rice is already off. It's time to plate. So let's get this party started. Okay, so I'm going to put the rice down first. So I'm envisioning that the rice is going to be a nice base for a chicken thigh. So I'm going to put that down. Then I'm bringing over a chicken thigh. Let's get the biggest one we have here. I'm going to set that down right there. And then I'm going to grab my spoon, get a little sauce. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's absolutely beautiful. Okay, we're done there. And the last component is going to be our bok choy. So let's get some good amount of bok choy here, right next to that. Oh, that's beautiful. Definitely a little garnish here. Some green onions, scallions on top here. And if you want to add a little bit more sauce, you can. I think the rice is going to be good the way it is, but boy, look at that. That is absolutely beautiful. I cannot wait to dig into this. This is going to be so good. Now, I want to say that we all eat a lot of chicken. I'm pretty sure of that. So I'm always looking for more interesting ways to make chicken because, you know, chicken got a little boring sometimes. This is an interesting way to make chicken. Okay, I'm going in. I'm going to get a piece of chicken first, and then I'm going to eat a full bite, I think. Okay, let's see. Oh. That sauce is so good. Savory, sweet, full of flavor, lots of depth of flavor. The chicken is cooked perfectly. Okay, I'm going in. I'm gonna get a full bite here. I'm gonna get a little chicken, a little rice. Use my fork to help, or the knife for the assist, and a little bok choy. Oh. Oh my goodness, so good. The bok choy adds this wonderful herbaceousness to it. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it. And then the tamari and the bok choy, we've got tamari in the chicken. And the rice, I mean, it's just rice. It's kind of, you need a base ingredient on the plate here, and that would be the rice. And it's mixing in, the sauce is mixing into the rice. It's absolutely spectacular. Now, when you see this recipe, you're gonna think possibly this is a little weird, but I'm telling you, go with it, make it. I think your family is going to absolutely enjoy it. It's got a little bit for everybody. And if the bok choy is a little weird, I don't know, make some spinach, do something that is a little more comfortable for you. That's totally fine. But I do urge you to try the bok choy because it really is quite splendid. Thank you so much for watching. The full recipe is in the description below. There will be a link. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit the enable notification so you know the next time we put out a food video, which is every Wednesday and Sunday, by the way. And until then, happy eating.